In this video, I want to talk about the fact that CoPilot, the AI assistant released by Microsoft, is actually going to be the next SharePoint in terms of impact within the industry, in terms of impact within your business. And I'm going to tell you the three main reasons why I think that's a fact. But first, I want to take you back a little bit in time, into history, because this kind of disruption already happened in the past with SharePoint, actually, with the emergence of SharePoint back in the late 2000s. And I was there. I was there when SharePoint 2010 became a thing. And then it was a big advancement in terms of document management for a lot of businesses, because file storage was just a simple thing of putting it all in folders and so on. But with the emergence of SharePoint 2010, it became apparent that you could actually collaborate on these documents, that you could actually create a site that would give you all of these kind of documents in an easy way, in an easy, digestible way, with a cute UI back then. But that was for many companies a big advancement. This was like really a disruption. And people, like businesses, really had to step into SharePoint 2010 back then if they want to continue to be streamlined, to benefit from all of the advancement, benefit from saving time and money. And back then, businesses really had to step into SharePoint 2010 if they wanted to be competitive, future-proof as well, and making sure that they are ahead of the competition. And this was true for a long time, because back then, like, the alternatives weren't really that great. I mean, I'm a Microsoft fan, so I'm a little bit biased, of course, but something like SharePoint really didn't exist back then. So that's why it was really popular. Also, the fact that it integrated with Office tools, I mean, that is already a huge plus for using a tool like SharePoint back then. And that was around 2009. So then a few years later, there was another disruption from Microsoft again. And this time it was around 2011, where Microsoft actually released Office 365, a cloud-based tool that would allow people to actually share and collaborate their files within the cloud. So it was even an easier way to collaborate with each other. And it was also future-proof because everything was evolving towards the cloud. All the Office tools were becoming available in the cloud. SharePoint as well. And that was also a big disruption for a lot of companies again. So businesses were starting to shift from on-prem physical servers towards the cloud. And the cloud eventually is a more cost-effective way to manage your information, your data. And I mean, you can see it now how Office 365 evolved from 2011 until now. Huge advancements have been made on that platform. Now we call it Microsoft 365, and it's a wide range of tools, of applications. You have Azure as well, and so on. So it's a whole ecosystem that has been created within the cloud by Microsoft, where a lot of companies saw the benefits to moving everything within the Microsoft ecosystem. So a lot of the bigger companies are there already. So which means that now with the emergence of AI and the fact that Microsoft created their own AI assistant, CoPilot, means that a lot of these businesses that are within the Microsoft ecosystem suddenly are able to also use AI within their tenant, within their business. And it's a huge one because it lives within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. It's not an extra tool somewhere out there that is not connected to any of the data that a company has within the 365 environment. No, it's actually an AI tool that is connected to all of your data within your 365 environment. And the big point is here the fact that the AI tool lives within your environment, and that's it. It doesn't live anywhere else, and your data is still within the confines, within the boundaries of your own environment. And that's a huge one, because a lot of people that I have been talking to the last couple of months that wanted to step into AI were very reluctant to do so because of the fact that they were fearful that their data would just be exposed to anybody out there that could prompt their way towards their data, if their data would be used also to train some of these AI models. So that's a big no-no for a lot of these companies that are dealing with sensitive information. So they would rather just not use AI and just keep using manual procedures to keep doing the day-to-day work. But if you want to be future-proof as a business, if you want to stay ahead of the competition, then you should start using AI. So that's why Microsoft made a big move by collaborating with OpenAI and making sure that their CoPilot, their AI assistant, can actually use the models from OpenAI without the need to actually connect with OpenAI. So all the models like GPT-4, GPT-5, whatever will come out in the future, Microsoft will be able to just take that model and put it in their own Microsoft 365 environment. So then allowing businesses to interact with these models through their Copilot tool, which is massive, which is awesome for a lot of these businesses that were really reluctant to use an AI tool within their business. So this opens up a whole range of possibilities for these businesses. And even if it's in its early stages, because the Copilot only came out late last year in 2023, it will mean that there's now going to be a rush for many of the bigger companies and even the smaller companies to get into the game of Copilot, to making sure that they stay competitive, that they stay ahead, that they are future-proof, that everything will be around AI eventually. So they need to step into that. So the huge rush is going to be there. You can already feel like companies looking at Copilot and trying to see what it is. And just like back in the day, in 2009, when SharePoint was becoming a big thing, this will help a lot of businesses to make the decision to get into it, to actually also move more into the Microsoft ecosystem, to be honest. Like if you're using anything else besides Microsoft, but you're using Outlook and maybe you're using Excel, then the obvious next step will be to get into Copilot and to use the AI tools, but in a way that it will protect your data, it remains compliant, and so on and so on. So businesses will eventually move towards the 365 environment. And I think it's a big move from Microsoft to have that collaboration with OpenAI. And I see Microsoft really winning the race right now around, if we're talking about really enterprise level applications of AI and still being secure and still being compliant. I think it's a big step forward. It's a big plus. It's a big competitive advantage for Microsoft compared to all the others. Now, Google and even Atlassian and all these other big players, they have similar things already within their ecosystem that could potentially be a competitor to Copilot and Microsoft 365. But honestly, Microsoft has been building tools within the whole cloud environment, within their 365 environment, that is already so robust and so much tested out and so much in use already, that it's actually a no-brainer and will save many businesses a lot of headaches and will remove the fear that there's a big risk of using AI, because Microsoft has everything in one environment. So many businesses will go ahead and use it. And actually the last thing that is really important to understand is, now that the European Union has released their AI Act, a lot of companies will start looking at that and wondering, like, what does that mean if they would start using AI within their business? What would that mean in terms of this regulation that is coming out from Europe? Are they still compliant? Now, if you look at the new European AI Act, there are a couple of things that really stand out, and they all play in favor to Microsoft, to be honest. First one is the need for data quality. Now, data quality is important. Having that, any business has data within their company, but the quality of data is very important here. Meaning that you have to make sure that whatever you use as data for your AI purposes, it is high quality. And a lot of companies actually, in the last few years, they treated data quality very badly, meaning a lot of the data is duplicated, a lot of the documents that they have are outdated, but they never care to either delete it or put it in some kind of an archive. Backups are not getting done, and all of these kind of things play a big role. Now that you would activate an AI tool like CoPilot within your business, because suddenly you unlock all of this data, all of it, towards your employees, which means that somebody could use CoPilot and start typing, give me some HR policies, and it could return information that is outdated, maybe from even 10 years ago if you're not careful. And it will also mean a lot of legal issues, right, for businesses. So the data quality will mean that a lot of businesses will have to start thinking about like data classification, data loss prevention, making sure that they archive all data, that they label the old data. Also thinking about data lifecycle management and making sure that some of this data, the retention period is being set and what should be done after the retention period and so on and so on. All of these things become very, very, very important. So that's about data quality. Now, the other one is all about compliance, making sure that your data is compliant towards the regulations. And it actually relates to data quality because within your compliance settings within Microsoft 365, you have the whole Purview suite that allows you to do data classification, the data loss prevention, insider risk management, all of these fancy things that help you stay compliant. And for sure, if you have businesses that are ISO compliant or have an ISO certification, even more so for these kind of businesses to also stay compliant within these kind of regulations. So that being said, because of the EU regulations that are coming out and towards the future that will be updated and so on, Microsoft has a huge advantage towards all of these other players in the industry because of the fact that they have been building a tool like Purview within their ecosystem for years now. The tools are there. The fact is that a lot of businesses actually they don't use them. They haven't really seen the necessity to use them. Well, this is actually the trigger for a lot of businesses to start using Purview. And again, this will mean a rush for a lot of them to start doing it, to start implementing it. So what we will see in the next few months is a lot of these companies will start creating projects around CoPilot, around compliance, data quality, and so on and so on. So there will be a huge rush towards that. And honestly, the businesses that are thinking about it right now will be ahead of the curve in a few months, even a couple of years. And probably the bigger businesses will start with that, but it will go down. It will trickle down to the smaller businesses because everybody will have to have at least some kind of data quality compliancy policies in place to make sure that their data stays secure, that nobody just can put whatever in an AI assistant prompt and get the information that they shouldn't be getting. So all of these things play a role. Now, if you're thinking about this also within your business, think about it. What this would mean if you're now using, I don't know, Google Drive or files on your file server or whatever your data is stored right now. How secure is it? If you would start using like AI tools within your company that unlocks all of this data towards that AI tool, are you able to keep that data safeguarded, right? Or are employees actually just taking that data and putting it somewhere in ChatGPT where you have no control over what happens with the data, what are the results of these kind of prompts, and so on and so on. It's a huge risk for a lot of businesses, and I can understand that many of them are reluctant to even allow their employees to take this data to put into ChatGPT. But honestly, if you don't have any governance rules, if you don't have any compliancy policies in place within your company, well, how would you even know that they are doing this? How will you protect yourself, the company data, from these kind of scenarios, right? And that's where, again, CoPilot, but also the Purview product from Microsoft 365 gives a lot of benefits. So again, it feels like back in the day in 2009 when I was first looking at SharePoint and seeing the huge potential that it could give businesses, but also a huge amount of work to be done to making sure that you've set it up correctly, right? This is the same way as now. I can see it, I can feel it, that this is going to be huge, but at the same time, it's going to be a huge challenge to make sure that it's going to be set up correctly. It's not just about turning on the switch of Copilot, like many businesses did with even Office 365, turning on the switch and then telling everybody just use it, That, I mean, businesses that have done that, also with SharePoint, once they did that without any thought about governance, about rules, about boundaries, they created a huge mess within their business, within SharePoint, within Office 365. So, and then a lot of people would say like, okay, but this is bad, we never were able to really reap the benefits of using it because we never were able to set these policies. So it's a huge mess. And I think this is again the same thing. If business owners, if you have a business and you just turn on the switch, and be careful, if you don't have anything in place, you will create a mess for yourself, and it will actually be harder to solve in the future than the benefits that you will get from a tool like Copilot, like the AI assistant that you got. So that being said, as a recap, for me, I really think Copilot is really the next SharePoint in terms of impact within businesses, 100%. And the three biggest reasons that I see to support that idea, that thought, is first of all, the fact that Microsoft collaborates with OpenAI and the fact that they got their models, the models from OpenAI, to just put them into the 365 environment and keep them there without any outside interference. That's already a huge one. Number two, the fact that all companies should be using AI to stay competitive. They all need to do something with AI, because if you're not doing it, your competitor will be doing it and you're not competitive anymore. So this is a huge trigger for a lot of businesses to start the adoption of AI within their business. And the third reason that I think this is going to be a huge impact for a lot of businesses, is the fact that the EU just released the AI Act, and they are really asking and demanding from businesses to make sure that their data is qualitative, that they have quality data to use with the AI tools, and also that they are compliant, making sure that they reduce the risk of losing their data, for example, right? So these three reasons are, for me, the biggest reason that Copilot will have the same impact as SharePoint did back in the day. Now it's up to you as a business owner to really make sure that whenever you choose to turn on the AI switch within your environment, that you make sure that you have your governance, that you have your policies before everything turns into a big mess. Now, if you have any questions about this, feel free to put them in comments. I'm happy to answer any of those questions. In the next videos, you will see more information and more how-tos about using Copilot, using Purview, and making sure that you stay compliant and making sure that you can implement the right kind of policies and to making sure that the way that you use AI will not turn into a mess, but actually will enhance your business so you are really becoming future-proof and competitive. And even beyond that, you will be ahead of the competition. So stick around and we'll see each other in the next video.